While in the Army for 35 years, Eddie traveled the world, meeting so many interesting people and experiencing different cultures, but only where the military told him to go. Fortunately, during our 25 years of marriage, a few of his assignments gave us the opportunity to visit some pretty amazing places too. So come join us on this adventure of a lifetime as the La Rosas jump around the world. After a quick visit in Denmark and Sweden, we are now heading to Norway. Flying over all the beautiful islands was a great way to start our week-long trip here. We just made it to Norway, and we are in Bergen, and we are going to be spending some time with our family, and they're going to take us all around and show us their hometown and some other areas. How do you say welcome to Norway in Norwegian?
Velkommen.
Velkommen til Norge. All right. We hurried back to Haugesund so we could catch the sunset, and it did not disappoint. On the way back to the car, we checked out these horse sculptures known as the Rising Tide. Notice that their heads look like the head of a pump jack, symbolizing the transition from workhorses to our dependency on fossil fuels. Good morning. It is our first day in Norway, and we are walking into Haugesund, if I say that right. Haugesund. Just to explore the town with Kristen and Runa and just enjoy the day because it's a beautiful day in Norway. On the way into town, we also stopped at a national monument named Haraldshaugen, which commemorates Norway's unification into one kingdom by Harald Fair in the year 872. We also traveled past this stone cross dating from about 1000 AD. This was the earliest Christian period in Norway, and it's believed that the early Norwegian Christians held services beside crosses like this before any churches were built. Along our walk, we stopped by the church that Kristen and Runa were married in. They were married on the 4th of July, and Eddie actually attended their wedding in 1992. When we left the church, we continued to venture downtown. We filled our bellies and we did a little more walking before popping into this chic little bookstore. Runa is a dean in the area, so he took us to one of the churches in town to show us around. So thankful that we're friends with the pastor who has a key to every church, because I probably won't be the last time I can use the bathroom. A trip to town would not be complete without a visit to a bakery. And we may have stopped by more than once. I asked Kristen what was in the salmon dish, and this was her response.
Med pesto och pillikärnellock i flötesaus.
Yum. Sounds good.
Help yourself.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that would be good.
Ah.
Kanskakaka for like a party.
Okay.
Just
Pretty. Because it's almost kind of like a trifle in a way.
Hallå och god morgon från Norge och Haugesund idag ska man ha det väldigt käckt sammen.
Good morning from Norway. It's day 2 here, and today we're going to go check out Kristen and Runa's town and see what kind of fun we have in store for us today. Our first stop is to pick up snacks for our road trip. We are at Lunch Foods for the second time in our 2 days here because yesterday we came and we got a cronut, which is a cross between a croissant and a donut. And the only other place that I've had these are in New York, and they were so good yesterday. We had a salted caramel that we're coming back today for Nutella and just a plain sugar one. So yum-y. Now that we've got our snacks, we're headed off to find the Viking village. We needed to cross this bridge to the island where the village is located, but not until we yield the right-of-way to the sheep. Now we can cross. About 3,500 years ago, this area was established as a center of power because it was the best place to control the shipping traffic along the coast of Norway. The site continued to be a seat of chieftains and kings until 1400 AD. Now the only things that remain are replicas of the original buildings. Near the Viking village is St. Olav's Church, which is the only remaining building of the medieval royal residence.
Velkommen til Visnes.
Her er kopperet som er i The Statue of Liberty, kommer fra her. Og det er en gave fra franskmennene til amerikanerne.
So we are at a copper mine, and 99% sure that the copper in the Statue of Liberty in New York City actually came from here. On our drive, Kristen and Runa showed us one of the local beaches. Our last stop of the day was to visit friends of Kristen and Runa at their cottage on a fjord. Norwegians are so hospitable. They put out quite the spread, including Norwegian pancakes called sveller, with sour cream, homemade jam, fresh fruit, and coffee. We finished the day by Eddie making one of his faves, pad thai. We are on a ferry heading into Bergen, and actually on our drive from Haugesund, we went through a tunnel that went under the ocean, which I've never been in before, and it was really long, like 6 kilometers long, so that was kind of cool and creepy. But so what's significant about Bergen for us?
We are going to do all the touristy things, but we're going to visit the church where my great-great-grandparents were married and where my great-grandmother was baptized. And there might be a little surprise later on in this video.
Okay, welcome to Bergen. Our walk took us through this market, so we decided to try some local foods.
Okay, since we're downtown Bergen, we decided we're going to try some of the local fish, I guess. This is a whale burger.
Ooh, it's very red.
It tastes kind of like venison, like deer. That's what it kind of tastes like.
Huh.
Yeah, so.
Interesting.
What do you think about that?
No, it's ick. It doesn't taste fishy at all. It just tastes gamey and bleh.
but for people coming here,
Don't
they
get
should
it.
try it. I say try it
Well,
anyway.
you should try it. Of course, you should try it. We also tried reindeer, whale, and moose jerky, and that was good. The other thing that we tried is a reindeer burger. Poor little Rudolph. It's got some lingonberry on it, and I don't know if that's like tomato. Yeah, it's like a
some
tomato.
tomato.
Okay. All right, here I go. It's hard to tell because all the sweetness from the berries on here kind of hides the taste of the meat. It's good though, it doesn't taste gamey like yours. You know what though? This is moose. This is not reindeer. We said reindeer. This is a moose burger. I did not eat Rudolph. I just have a moose burger, so we're good.
How was the whale burger?
Ja, jeg synes det var bra.
Det var veldig godt. Det var bedre når vi var små. Jeg husker
Ja, da vi var små og
ikke så
spiste
godt.
med dette her, dette var mye bedre.
That's what I thought.
Now that our bellies are full, we are going to take a funicular up to see some spectacular views of Bergen. We continued our stroll through Bergen, checking out the interesting architecture, and did some window shopping.
You can't tell on the video very well, but these stairs are significantly slanted. And so Tracy's gonna roll something just to show.
Bergen House Fortress is one of the oldest and best preserved stone fortifications in Norway, with buildings dating back as far as the 1240s. The fortress includes Håkon's Hall and Rosenkrantz Tower, which is the former residence of one of Norway's most significant kings, Magnus the Lawmender. The oldest remaining building in the whole city of Bergen is St. Mary's Church. Bergen Cathedral is nearly 900 years old. It started as a church dedicated to Olav the Holy, Norway's patron saint. We are visiting Runa and Kristen's friends. They so graciously let us stay in their Airbnb. And her husband is making us this amazing dinner. I think it's like a 3-course dinner. I'm very excited for it. But first off, just check out this view. This is our view for dinner. We just got done with the amazing dinner that our host provided for us. And the Norwegians know how to host, because I feel like we have, you know, like breakfast, and then we have like coffee and cake, and then we have like late cake and later cake.
There's a lot of cakes.
And more drinks. So we started the night off with Aperol Spritz. And then you see that we had reindeer sausage with these potatoes that they got out of their garden. I've never seen them before. Oh, and they made homemade pesto, and it was so good. And homemade bread. The pesto I could have just eaten by the spoon. But then the main course was reindeer steaks, and so tender and so good. Not gamey at all. Served with thick brown gravy. Served with roasted apples, I think.
Yeah.
With this
Jelly.
berry jelly in it. So we started with the Aperol Spritz. And then with the second course, we had cider. And then with dinner, we had a Moroccan red wine. And we were like rolling ourselves off the table because we were so full. And then they're like, now we're going to have cake. And so she had made this homemade rhubarb cake from the rhubarb in their garden. It had like a vanilla custard or something in it.
Yeah.
Served with a raspberry soda. And so we are happily full and just blown away by the hospitality here. It's been a really great evening in Bergen. our second day in Bergen, and we're off to explore more of what the city has to offer. We love wandering through the neighborhoods with cobblestone roads and charming homes. And Eddie is always looking for hidden gems like this street, which is one of the oldest and narrowest streets in Bergen from the medieval times. Next, Kristen then took us to a park that has ties to the Pacific Northwest, where we live. In 1970, Bergen's sister city, Seattle, sent this totem pole to Bergen as a gift to celebrate the city's 900th anniversary. Off in the distance, you can see what is known as the New Church. Originally built in 1622, but the current building dates back to 1764. This is the church Eddie said his great-great-grandparents were married in and where his great-grandmother was baptized. If you recall, Eddie mentioned earlier that there may be a surprise later on in this video. Well, we thought it would be fitting to renew our wedding vows in this historic church. So we changed our clothes and headed to the church. The following timeline is what Eddie calls the Tale of Two Churches. The story begins in Bergen at the New Church. In 1879, Eddie's great-great-grandparents, Joachim and Larsine Wilson, were married here. In 1880, his great-grandmother, Inga Wilson, was born, and she was baptized in this church in 1883. In that same year, the family immigrated to the United States and settled down in Iowa, where Eddie's great-grandmother, Inga, spent most of her younger years, and in 1904, she married Henry Tigner. In 1906, the newlyweds relocated to Washington State, where they lived on a homestead in White Bluffs. A year later, in 1907, Inga was widowed. In 1913, she married Eddie's great-grandfather, Charles Branson Hall. In 1920, Eddie's grandmother, Clara Inga Hall, was born. We called her Grandma Kitty. The family lived in White Bluffs until 1943, when all the residents were forced to move to make room for a nuclear production facility known as the Hanford site. The family relocated to the town of Kennewick, where Eddie's grandmother eventually married his grandfather, Walt Hembry, in 1948 in the First United Methodist Church. It was the same church where Eddie's mom and dad were married in 1967, where Eddie's mom's sister was married in 1972, and where Eddie and I were married in 1997. Fast forward, almost 26 years later, Eddie and I traveled to Bergen, Norway to renew our vows where the Tale of Two Churches started.
Mitt hjerte ditt hjerte mitt, og lyser fra seljelyd låter.
This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. You have been married for 25 years. You have experienced life together as husband and wife. That is to be faithful in both good and bad times.
This church has a very significant meaning for our family. You have been the foundation of our family. You are the one who raised our kids and helped them become who they are today.
All I knew was that I had crazy butterflies, that I knew that I had found my person. If I had known then what I was getting into, I absolutely would have done it all over again.
Navnet ditt helliges, la riket ditt komme. La viljen din skje på jorden slik som i himmelen. Herren velsigne deg og bevare deg. Herren la sitt ansikt lyse over deg og være deg nådig. Herren løfte sitt åsyn på deg og gi deg fred. Amen.
A huge thank you goes out to Kristen and Runa for making this ceremony 1,000 times more special than we could have ever expected. And a huge thanks also goes out to our hosts who made this event a reality because they just so happened to have the keys to the church. What are the odds? After the ceremony, our hosts gave us a tour of the church. They lowered the angel that is used during baptism ceremonies. This angel dates back to the late 1700s, therefore it is very likely that Eddie's great-grandmother was baptized under the same exact angel. Heading up the first flight of stairs led us to where the sermons used to be delivered. Going up another flight of stairs provided us with a different view of the congregation and where the organ player would play. We continued climbing the stairs that took us to the bell tower. This bell was made in 1755. You'd think that the bell tower would be the highest point of the church, but nope. We continued to walk up another flight of stairs where we checked out the skylight and received a history lesson on the church.
1879 right there. We have 2023 like this.
Okay, we're getting the typical Bergen weather now. It is raining, and we have had beautiful weather for like the last 2 weeks of our trip, but it's not too bad. We ended our day enjoying a fabulous dinner with even greater hosts and officiating party. Good morning. We are leaving Bergen today, and we are heading on a tour. It's called Norway in a Nutshell, and it's train, bus, and boat through the fjords. So we've been told that this is amazing country and so beautiful, so we're super looking forward to it. And then we'll have a couple days in Oslo before we continue. Now that we've explored the countryside by train, we're hopping on a boat to cruise through the fjords. Our next mode of transportation is yet another train taking us up into the mountains. We made it to the top of the fjords. We are in Myrdal.
And we're just waiting to go to Oslo. This next leg is 5 hours long, so it's going to be a long day.
We've been eating pastries.
Pastries. We're living off pastries. But here, we just got some hot water. We probably saved $10, $15 just by having 3-in-1s in our backpacks.
What's a 3-in-1? It's
3-in-1
it's
is like
instant coffee.
Coffee,
Sugar, milk,
and cream.
Just waiting for the train, and then we will end up in Oslo around midnight.
Yep.
And we'll hit it hard tomorrow. We made it to Oslo. It's 11:07 p.m., so we're gonna go check out our bedroom. Oh, beautiful chandelier. It's nice. Coming through, there's a microwave. This really pretty little dining area. I don't know where tonight. Sweet, it's way cooler down here too. Look
Nice.
at the beams. Look at the beams.
All right.
Good job, Tracy. We are in Oslo today, and we only have one day, so we are going to see as much as we can see in Oslo. We are at the Royal Palace, which is the 19th century residence to the King and Queen of Norway. Next, we aimlessly walk through the city streets, checking out the statues and the various architecture.
Or we can walk back to the apartment and get our 3-in-1s so we can have 25-cent coffee instead of $7 coffee.
That's no fun.
What you doing there, Trace?
You convinced me. We've got the cheap 3-in-1 coffee, so now I can have my coffee for the road.
Whew, we just saved 10, 12 bucks.
Cheapskate.
All right, let's go.
We stopped by Our Savior's Cemetery to visit Edvard Munch's gravesite, but we were having a little trouble finding it. We're trying to find this gravesite, and it's saying it's right here. Woo! Finally, we found it. Edvard Munch's famous 1893 painting, The Scream, inspired the design of the ghost face mask used in the Scream movies. The old Ake Church was originally built around 1150 AD and is Oslo's oldest remaining building and the only remaining church from the Middle Ages. The last stop of the day is a tattoo studio, where Eddie plans on getting his largest tattoo yet.
We are sitting in a tattoo studio, and I've been talking about getting a shoulder and upper arm tattoo for probably years, and I wanted to do a Viking one because we're in Norway, and with my Norwegian heritage I wanted to do it here in Oslo, but I'm kind of scared because this is the biggest one I've ever done.
It's going to be very visible.
It is big.
So a little bit of a crazy morning. Eddie had to go in at 7 a.m. to finish up his tattoo. And we had to get cash out yesterday to pay for it because she only takes cash. And for some reason, the local ATMs only allow you to take out 2,000 krona, which is like 200 bucks. So we had to go to like a bunch of different ATMs to get enough money. And then this morning, we still had to get more. So Eddie tried to find an ATM when he was headed to the tattoo shop this morning, couldn't find one. I've walked 3 miles going to 2 different ATMs trying to get the remaining cash out. We're gonna be cutting it close to get to the train, to get to the airport. His tattoo has taken like an 8-hour tattoo. I'm gonna go back to the timeshare, pack up the suitcases and check out. We need to be on a train by like 10:15 at the latest, and it's already 9:05. Done. Now to race to the train station. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe to follow all of our adventures.